Welcome to the First Order podcast where we discuss and understand how e commerce brands are scaling their businesses. I'm Leslie, and today we are joined with Rui, founder of Blackpeach, a fashion forward e commerce brand based in Portugal. Welcome, Rui, to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I am also good, Rui. Good to meet you finally in video again, right? This is the first time that we are meeting in video.
In video.
Yeah.
In email was we had quite a few emails,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So, Rui, thank you for joining us today, and we'll just take a look at from where you started and where you're at, and how loyalty came into the picture for you, right? So, before we even get there, I want to first understand what made you guys start Blackpeach as a brand, right? What was the moment where you wanted to start it?
Basically, I'm a co-founder of Blackpeach.
Uh-huh.
My wife, she's the founder of Blackpeach, and she's the
Absolutely.
one that came up with an idea. Blackpeach is a women-focused business, women
Mm-hmm.
clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened. It will be this week, 9 years, on the 16th of May. 9 years business, and basically, wife had just came out. We just had our son having new ideas in starting her own business, and for some reason, she decided to. Clothing was the best way. I was coming from retail. I strongly advised her not to go ahead with Black Beach, but she wanted to have a project with women's related to
Okay.
fashion. She's in love with fashion. She's in love with customer service, and she used to work also in retail in the past. And she decided it was time to go with a easy setup based on social media store, and that's the way she started, Black
So
Peach. And then it,
before, just to give some context to it, I was actually doing a little bit of stalking on the internet to kind of figure out your social media and everything else. And that's when I realized you guys were 8+ years old. I wasn't aware of that when we were just talking to each other. So that's
yeah.
one. I wanted to also understand, Rui, how was it like? You mentioned it was a woman's first brand, right? So, how do you separate yourself from all the other women's first brands out there? Or was it not the case when you started out?
Well, it's always been a women's only related brand,
Mm-hmm.
and in the beginning was a tough beginning, like every business, and you need to work hard, and before you start seeing the results, and
Absolutely.
the focus was definitely to try to make a difference.
Hmm.
So the real fight was, get out of home very early and take a plane or two or three or four planes, the necessary planes, and find new providers. So basically, Black Peach wanted to offer what the market locally was not offering. So
Okay.
the market was very based on the same suppliers. Everyone was selling basically the same product all the time. And when everyone is offering the same product, you don't differentiate. So, and that was one of the targets of Black Peach, was really to differentiate and to show customers that we could supply them with a different look, with more value, with more advisory, with a more personal touch, and that they will feel unique when they will go outside to an event, to any work life related event, or just to have fun. So they
Makes sense.
basically will differentiate from everyone.
Makes sense. That's a great way to approach that, right? It's a good differentiating factor to have when you are providing value that no one else does. Now, how was the first few orders like? First 100 orders like? When you first started Blackpitch, how was getting the first 100 orders felt like?
Look, honestly, the first order was the toughest one because, as I was telling you, it was a social media based store. So it started with one follower, two followers, three followers, and the first order, the customer that made the first order back in the time, um, is still today our customer, and it was very interesting because that first order took a couple of days to come, and desperation takes place, and I still didn't solve anything. I put all this money in stock, in inventory, and but then first order came through, second order naturally came by, and but the feeling of starting acquiring customers and then starting to develop new strategies to acquire new customers was very interesting to provide the value and keep on producing content. And that was the challenge for the maybe not the first 100, but maybe the first 500, was really to try to sustain and feed the information to the customers and ensure that they will be happy. And that was the real concern, the customer to feel happy and to feel good in the garment they were
Makes
wearing.
sense. So, I wanted to understand, Rui, you mentioned that your first 1,000 or 500 customers were an uphill battle, right? So, when was the point you decided that, hey, we should also try to look at customer retention as a metric, right? It's not always about acquisition. It's sometimes about retaining those existing customers as well. When was the tipping point for you?
The tipping point was when we launched our website, because it was a social media only. Everything was based on messaging, and during COVID times, that was perfect. But after COVID, it was time really to go ahead and have our own website and do our investment. So customer retention was a because I came from retail. I'm coming from retail. It was always something I would worry to keep
Hmm.
customers returning. So it was either by producing content or via other tactics.
Hmm.
So the idea was really, when we launched the website, to have a more differentiated approach in a loyalty program with customer retention. So when we launched our website, which was, I'm honest, around 5, 6 years ago,
That's a while. Yeah.
when we started with a loyalty program back then.
Okay.
But the approach was not the best. The way it was operating was it was not very clear. So we at some point last year, we decided it was time to end it. We were having too much issues. The point scheme was confusing. The Everything the customer could exchange was also confusing. Dashboarding was confusing. So it was requiring also a lot of time from our side to manage this
System.
customer retention. So we decided to stop it and do it more on a person to person basis. So
Okay.
depending on the how much they will spend, we will do a management person to person, until we came across Dollarback. So
Makes sense, Rui. I understand. But what made you explore? So you mentioned you were familiar with point system, right? That means you have
yeah.
used point systems in the past. But what made you explore store credit as an option? Because it was quite new when this was coming out, right? It's very new in the space and it's still in beta, if you don't know. So I wanted to ask, like, what made you consider this as a solution?
Um, Look, I like to keep it simple.
Uh-huh.
That's basic for me. And the point system, somehow, I always felt it was easy for me to understand because I set up the system, but
Yeah.
always to convey a message to the customer and to provide this message to the customer where he understands that he can exchange 100 points for this or for that. That was confusing. So
Okay.
we thought, like, the best approach will be definitely to have something very simple and very straightforward that the customer could immediately use and understand with a simple math how much he was getting back from each purchase he was doing. So,
Absolutely.
and that was definitely the pivotal point that we wanted to change. Make it simple for the customers and make it simple also for us, for our company.
Management.
As we are a very small company, we are a micro company, let's call it this way. And to expect to spend our resources managing customer retention is a good investment,
Hmm.
but we also want to keep it simple. And I
Makes
think
sense, Rui.
the
Makes sense.
simplicity of store credit, the simplicity of cashback makes it much easier for the customer to understand.
Absolutely. So the next question naturally falls into how did you even come to find us, right? We are a very small niche in the App Store, and it's very hard to find us even by ourselves, right? Even if you open in an incognito tab, it's very hard to find us. So how did you come across us?
That's a very good question. So I was checking all the tools.
Hmm.
I had like 3 or 4 contenders for to use. and but they always had some issues. It was either page speed, for example, the scripts they were using or the widgets they were using were very slow, and they were down ranking the store in Google
Mm-hmm.
in terms of speed. And somehow, don't it was a one time find because I came across Dollarback
Yeah.
because and at that point I found it. I went to the website. I saw the way it was describing, and I was like, I need to know more about it. That was my first approach to you, to know exactly how it was operating. And I still have it in my links saved.
Okay.
If I kept it, I store it because after I tried to search for it, I couldn't find it, and I was like, where is it? So I went back and I went to the history, found it again, and then I installed it because was and I still have it here. Yesterday I was checking it in the app store because I really wanted to I wanted to check how many comments you had. So I
Yeah.
just I was checking it yesterday, but I kept it. The I don't know. It was a look. I think it was meant to be basically. So I discovered it. Perfect tool, easy, simple, does exactly what we need. So
Yeah.
it was a in Portuguese we say one hand washes the other, and
Mm.
together they wash the face. So I
Yeah,
think
makes
it was the
sense.
perfect match. We found each other, and together I think we are building something definitely.
So, Rui, just to give a little bit of background about us, right? So, when we started in the space, we analyzed the top 50 apps in the loyalty space, right? Because it's not a new market for apps, it's not a new thing for brands. So, we first thought about what we could do differently, what's currently missing in the space, right? There were two things that we came across. First was the point system that you mentioned, right? Wherein it's a little hard for customers to understand what they're getting out of it, the value out of it, right? The
Yeah.
second point was out of the top 25 to 50 apps that we analyzed, right, on our side, none of them had this one key feature, which is like you cannot set rules on a product or a collection level. This is only supported by one app in the sea of 50 apps. So this is one of the key features that we wanted to really nail it down even when we started. And that's our core of where we started because we understand that businesses have different products,
Yeah,
different
exactly.
categories.
And that was my first approach by email to you guys, was really this one. That my first question was, can you do it per collection? I
uh,
think that was my key question. And you answered yes, and that was it.
so back when
I think,
you were emailing us, Rui, it was not there yet. Like the feature was still under development, and but we really knew that this we need to get it out. This is the key feature to make everything work, right?
yeah,
And that's how
definitely.
we started with loyalty.
Oh, I lost.
Yeah, we
Sorry.
lost each other for a few seconds, so I'll just recap what I was telling. I kept going.
No,
So,
it's not a problem.
uh, so usually, Rui, I've noticed that in most apps that we vetted, right, and while we were talking to merchants and brands on our side, the benchmark number or an industry standard that we saw was a 20% redemption rate across multiple D2C brands across the industry. And for you, for Blackpeach, right, this number is 2x at the base. It's around 45% redemption rate. How?
This.
How is that
Uh,
possible, right? How
well,
what made this different?
look, we have a high return. So we have a one-to-one, a very big one-to-one relationship with all the customers. We go to the point we can suggest our customers alternatives, and I think that's the magic of the team. That's magic of Natasha. That's the magic of Filipa, which are the two main persons with customer contact, and
Absolutely.
they really have a very good way to develop with the customers this relationship, and this makes a high return rate of customers. Our target with the app was really to increase our retaining base,
Mm-hmm.
and our this has a cost, of course, the application for us, and even by
Absolutely.
estimating the 100% return rate, we know exactly how much it's going to impact us financially. But I think it's worth it for the customer because we have a more happy customer, and for us, as we have ongoing returning customers. So I
Exactly.
think that's the reason why the number is that high, because the return base of customers is quite high.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's quite essential. That's quite key.
Absolutely makes sense. So, I want to also understand, Rui, when you first started out with store credit, right? Did customers need some kind of push to make them use the credit, right? Because credit is a new functionality and not many people are used to it, right? It's a very new functionality in Shopify. So, did it take a
Exactly.
few nudges, or like how did you inform the customer that, hey, something like this exists, right? You can now use
Look,
your credit on the order.
exactly. So basically, it pushed a bit more from our side in terms of communication,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's quite intuitive. The fact it is on the checkout, and checkout in Shopify is quite clean.
Yeah,
So immediately you see use store credit. So I think that was it's also one of the key features, the fact it is on the checkout, and checkout is so limited in for regular stores in Shopify, and that was very, very important. The moment it allowed us to have it there, it became even easier for customers. So even with the point system, we're getting much more support requests rather than from the actual one, from the store credit. So store
makes
credit
sense.
is it makes it much easier for the customer on the
Absolutely.
checkout.
So, did any specific customer segments respond best to this? Is it your long-term customer base or is it your recent customers? Have you seen any trends like that on your store?
Look, I'll explain you. This is a long answer. So basically, what we did parallel to it was to develop a few segments of customers.
Hmm.
So with different criterias, we even went further to have like 5 different levels of customers, so we could identify them. But in the store credit app, we are only using 2 levels: VIP and regular customers. Being
Hmm.
VIP customers with high value of purchase, so they are very recurrent and they purchase very high value. And by doing this with these segments, they get in a flow, which is
Hmm.
great, the integration with flow, because as the segments change, we attribute them a different tag, and we can in the future change the let's say
The
what
structure.
they have available to them.
Okay.
So and that was very essential. So we have different layers of customers.
Hmm.
We respect all the customers, of course, but for these high value recurrent customers, we try to incentivize them with a bigger percentage, and so the integration with the flow helps us big time in doing it. So we know exactly where they stand at which level, and it's we can do much. The possibilities are endless. Clavio, Clavio and the flow really helps a lot.
Makes sense. Just one trend that we've been noticing, and I wanted to ask your opinion on those, right? So we've been noticing that there are a few brands that are in the space. I'll send you a link to one of them. So what they're doing is to get engagement from customers who have never come back for a second purchase, right? What they're trying to do is this having games on their store. I send a link on your chat, right?
Okay.
So it's like you have a game, you go play it. In 24 hours, there is a leaderboard of sorts. Top 10 customers who get the high score, right? They get some reward in store credit, $50 in store credit in this case. So
Okay.
do you find this sort of engagement useful for your customer base, like a gamification of the whole experience, where even non-engaging customers can possibly come and play a game and win some reward and then use that on your order, right? Is this something that might you might find value in?
Um, look, I still I don't know, honestly. My first answer is I don't know. We never know, right? So,
Yeah.
but basically, on our side is more the interaction they have with the, because we do lives almost every day
Hmm.
on the social medias, and so it's all about engagement with the customer, and getting back from the customer. Games on our customer archetype,
Hmm.
we I don't think it really works. It's
Okay.
women. It's 100% women. You
Hmm.
tricked me with that question, but so for us, what's key? It's really the interaction between us and our customers. So games are cool, but if they are interactive with us,
Hmm.
if I explain, so like if we do a questionnaire online, or but it's next to with a game going on, like if it's alive and like you have the information and you do a question, the fastest to answer wins the. So this kind of interaction is good, definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just asking this question out of the blue because this is something that we've been noticing with other brands, right? A lot of brands
Okay,
in the space kind of try to implement some sort of game to get some of their customer base to respond. So
of
that's
course.
something new in the space, and I wanted to just get your thoughts on it. And we're seeing more developments, and I'll keep you posted on any new happenings in the space as well, Rui.
An additional comment. So basically, we are trying to have a less promotion based website. So everything wants to go around the cashback. So
Uh-huh.
that's our target, because a cashback means uh, there is a relationship with the customer.
Yeah.
So he buys, we give them cashback, or we do a promotion that gives more cashback. So it involves both sides in the game of the experience. So,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why we try, like, not to have interaction and not just to give away. So
Hmm.
to have an interaction between both. I think
Makes
it's a good
sense.
game. It's a dance between the customer and us.
Makes
So
sense.
that's
Makes
very,
sense, Ravi.
very
And
important.
I'm sure that you guys are playing the dance really well based on the results that you're seeing. So good having you,
Definitely.
Ravi. Is there anything
Same.
that you want to bring up? Any other questions that I may have missed out on my side? Anything for
No,
me?
no questions. Look, I think it's essential, the customer service we get. It's
Yeah.
great. I think it's very worth to mention it.
Hmm.
I think the fact that we are working with you guys and you are flexible and you
Hmm.
hear your customers and you even have it clear on your app, all the requests from all the customers, which is, I think it's this transparency is worth a lot, and
Yeah.
really helps to put into perspective everyone's ideas, even other companies that are in the
Hmm.
game. And this is a, it shows we chose the right option in Shopify. I don't know how we found it still, but we found it. And but it's definitely, it shows how much it can be done, and I think it has been a great relationship, and it has been a great development, and it's been great to watch it. Really
Thank
good.
you.
Okay,
Thank you, Rui, for being a
you're
part
very
of this
welcome.
journey. You're literally our first, or I think a second merchant to join in on the app. Second, not tens,
Second,
not 20s. Yes, second merchant to join our app. And yeah, I'm absolutely pleased to work with you on this and to keep the app improving and the product improving to meet your needs and other businesses' needs.
I'm sure. Look, the app, how it is designed right now, and every features it has, it's not an app for two or three or 10 or 20 or 200 stores. It will be for thousands of stores. That I'm knowing what I know and checked what I checked.
Hmm.
There is a competitive advantage by Dollarback, definitely. So
Thank
I'm
you.
sure it will become a hit in the Shopify App Store. It's just a matter of getting the right exposure
Mm.
and the right how it's called, not the SEO for apps.
Yeah,
It has a term. So the, optimizing it for the app engine is definitely very important.
absolutely, absolutely, Rui. Thank you, Rui, for joining us today and having you today is a very great experience. Yeah, I hope to meet you soon, some other time as well, right? And catch up on things again.
Definitely, definitely, Abel. Was very nice to have you. Have a
Bye
great
bye.
day. Bye bye.